Some of us think holding on makes us strong, but sometimes it is letting go. A higher humor begins with ceasing to take oneself seriously. To achieve the possible, we must attempt the impossible again and again. Knowledge can be communicated, but not wisdom. You can find it, live it, and listen to these quotes by Hermann Hesse to learn how to communicate and teach true life wisdom. Love your suffering. Do not resist it. Do not flee from it. It is only your aversion to it that hurts, nothing else. Faith and doubt go hand in hand. They are complementaries. One who never doubts will never truly believe. Maturity begins when egotism ends and when one lives for others. Theory is knowledge that doesn't work. Practice is when everything works and you don't know why. When you like someone, you like them in spite of their faults. When you love someone, you love them with their faults. Loneliness is the way by which destiny endeavors to lead man to himself. Fate and character are different names for the same idea. Only the thoughts that we live have value. A house without love is a poor house, even if beautiful rugs cover its floors and precious wallpapers and pictures cover its walls. You are only afraid if you are not in harmony with yourself. Happiness is a how, not a what, a talent, not an object. The true profession of a man is to find his way to himself. People with courage in character always seem sinister to the rest. Opinions mean nothing. They may be beautiful or ugly, clever or foolish. Anyone can embrace or reject them. Everything becomes a little different as soon as it is spoken out loud. The deity is within you, not in ideas and books. In every truth, the opposite is equally true. A truth can only be expressed and enveloped in words if it is one-sided. Each man's life represents a road towards himself, an attempt at such a road. No man has ever been entirely and completely himself. It consists of putting too high a value on time. In eternity, there is no time. Eternity is a moment, just long enough for a joke. Everyone can reach his goal if he can think, dream, and wait. You must find your dream, no matter how old you may be, then the way becomes easy. Chaos demands to be recognized and experienced before letting itself be converted into a new order. One never reaches home, but wherever friendly paths intersect, the whole world looks like home for a time. If we can make a person happier and more cheerful, we should do it anyway, whether he asks us or not. Study from yourself. Be your own teacher and your own student. What many people call passion is not spiritual force, but friction between the soul and the outside world. Those who cannot think or take responsibility for themselves need and clamor for a leader. You should not make a gift for yourself. You are too expensive. You must be one. We can understand one another, but each of us can only interpret ourselves. Man is an onion consisting of hundreds of skins, a fabric consisting of many threads. Every politician in the world is all for revolution, reason, and disarmament. but only in enemy countries, not in his own. It is not our purpose to become each other. It is to recognize each other, to learn to see the other, and honor him for what he is. No one marries for the sake of having children. However, when a person has children, they will force him to change, and in the end, he will see that everything was done only for them. Lack of friends is a sign that a man has many hobbies as well as time. Those who are too lazy and comfortable to think for themselves and be their own judges obey the laws. Others sense their own laws within them. Words do not express thoughts very well. They always become a little different immediately after they are expressed. A little distorted, a little foolish. I believe that I am not responsible for the meaningfulness or meaninglessness of life, but that I am responsible for what I do with the life I've got. When someone is seeking, said Siddhartha, it happens quite easily that he only sees the thing that he is seeking. He is unable to find anything, unable to absorb anything, because he is only thinking of the thing he is seeking. Because he has a goal, because he is obsessed with his goal. Seeking means to have a goal, but finding means to be free, to be receptive, to have no goal. You, a worthy one, are perhaps indeed a seeker, for in striving toward your goal, you do not see many things that are under your nose. I have always believed, and I still believe, that whatever good or bad fortune may come our way, we can always give it meaning and transform it into something of value. It may be important to great thinkers to examine the world, to examine and despise it. But I think it is only important to love the world, not to despise it. Not for us to hate each other, but to be able to regard the world and ourselves and all beings with love, admiration, and respect. Most people are like a falling leaf that drifts and turns in the air, flutters and falls to the ground. But a few others are like stars, which travel one defined path. No wind reaches them. They have within themselves their guide and path. He also represents the unique, the very special, and always significant and remarkable point at which the world's phenomena intersect, only once in this way, and never again. That is why every man's story is important, eternal, and sacred. That is why every man, as long as he lives and fulfills the will of nature, is wondrous and worthy of consideration. In each individual, the spirit has become flesh. In each man, the creation suffers. Within each one, a Redeemer is nailed to the cross. Learn what is to be taken seriously and laugh at the rest. If you hate a person, you hate something in him that is part of yourself. What isn't part of ourselves doesn't disturb us. There is no reality except the one contained within us. That is why so many people live such an unreal life. They take the images outside of them for reality and never allow the world within to assert itself. What could I say to you that would be of value, except that perhaps you seek too much, that as a result of your seeking, you cannot find? I have been, and still am, a seeker, but I have ceased to question stars and books. I have begun to listen to the teaching my blood whispers to me. Some of us think holding on makes us strong, but sometimes it is letting go. I began to understand that suffering and disappointments and melancholy are there not to vex us, cheapen us, or deprive us of our dignity, but to mature and transfigure us. Wisdom that a wise man attempts to impart always sounds like foolishness to someone else. One can find it, live it, do wonders through it, but one cannot communicate and teach it. Love isn't there to make us happy. I believe it exists to show us how much we can endure. Often, it is the most deserving people who cannot help loving those who destroy them. Each man had only one genuine vocation: to find the way to himself. His task was to discover his own destiny, not an arbitrary one, and to live it out wholly and resolutely within himself. Everything else was only a would-be existence, an attempt at evasion, a flight back to the ideals of the masses, conformity, and fear of one's own inwardness. It is not for me to judge another man's life. I must judge, I must choose, I must spurn purely for myself alone. We are sun and moon, dear friend. We are sea and land. Youth ends when egotism does. Maturity begins when one lives for others. Whoever wants music instead of noise, joy instead of pleasure, soul instead of gold, creative work instead of business, passion instead of foolery, finds no home in this trivial world of ours. Trees have always been the most penetrating preachers. I revere them when they live in tribes and families, in forests and groves, and even more, I revere them when they stand alone. They are like lonely persons, not like hermits who have stolen away out of some weakness, but like great solitary men like Beethoven and Nietzsche. In their highest boughs, the world rustles. Their roots rest in infinity, but they do not lose themselves there. They struggle with all the force of their lives for one thing only: to fulfill themselves according to their own laws, to build up their own form, to represent themselves. Nothing is holier, nothing is more exemplary than a beautiful, strong tree. When a tree is cut down and reveals its naked death wound to the sun, one can read its whole history in the luminous inscribed disk of its trunk, in the rings of its years, its scars. All the struggle, all the suffering, all the sickness, all the happiness and prosperity stand truly written. The narrow years and the luxurious years, the attacks within, the storms endured. Every young farm boy knows that the hardest and noblest wood has the narrowest rings, that high on the mountains and in continuing danger, the most indestructible, the strongest, the ideal trees grow. Whoever knows how to speak to them, whoever knows how to listen to them, can learn the truth. Which quote did you like the most? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss out on the next video.